The jury in the George Zimmerman murder trial could be one step closer to being seated. When court opened this morning, the judge told 23 potential jurors who'd already been questioned to go home, come back Tuesday. That may mean attorneys almost have the 40 jurors they want to move on to the next round of questioning. George Zimmerman has pleaded not guilty in the shooting death of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin last year. He claims self-defense. Martin was unarmed. NBC's Carrie Sanders is in Sanford, Florida, with more for us. And Carrie, give us a little more update, because this could be it's some encouraging news as far as moving along with this process.
Exactly, but I think the other thing to point out, of course, is that the judge has announced that the jurors will be sequestered. That means that they, once are impaneled, they will not be able to go home at night, on weekends, until there is a verdict. The good news is that by sequestering the jury, the judge has said that the trial will likely take 2 to 4 weeks, not what initially was suggested of a 4 to 6 week trial. While she didn't specifically say it, that may be because she's considering doing some weekend days of actual testimony. Of course, that would speed everything up. But it also creates a hardship for those who are selected to be on this jury. And again, in this case, it will be a 6-person jury plus alternates. And the hardship, of course, is that people have their lives. We've heard from some of those potential jurors telling the attorneys in the courtroom that, well, I have teenage kids, and as much as I'd like to say that my husband can help out, he can't do it alone, and I don't have family in the area, so no, this would present a hardship. The reason I use that example is because Trayvon Martin's family, of course, would love to have on the jury somebody that has an experience of having a teenage son. Remember, the 17-year-old is the one who died here. George Zimmerman has admitted to shooting him and killing him, but he says it was a matter of self-defense after he claims that Trayvon Martin attacked him. So picking a jury, they will go to this group of 40, and if everything works out as they hope, next week they will then, probably around Tuesday or Wednesday, they'll begin interviewing those 40 to whittle it down to the 6 jurors plus the alternates. Tamara.
All right, Carrie, thank you very much. And joining me now, former U.S. Attorney to Florida and MSNBC legal analyst Kendall Coffey. We should also mention George Zimmerman has sued NBC Universal, the parent company of this network, for defamation, and the company has strongly denied his allegations. Kendall, is it a big surprise that the jury will be sequestered once they're seated?
Well, I didn't think it was likely. Sequestering juries is very rare nowadays, except when you get into the deliberations. But as this judge was hearing from individual potential jurors, seeing them, she obviously finalized a conclusion that the extent of media exposure, with so many individuals already having heard things, some of the things they heard were completely irrelevant. She, I think, wisely decided, in view of everything that's happened in the past 4 days, that there should be an order of sequestering the juries. It's a big personal hardship for the jurors. It's a public expense, but it's one thing that can be done to increase the likelihood of a fair trial.
And to your point, some of the questioning today, one woman, a juror identified as G29, discussing how she heard about the case itself, which happened to be on a talk show, an opinionated talk show, she referred to it. Let's listen.
Did that individual ever express an opinion about the case? You say it was favorable to Mr. Martin, or?
The way I gathered, I believe he was probably more favorable towards Mr. Martin.
Okay. Again, did that sway you in any way in getting you to favor one side versus the other?
No, because I know him to be pretty biased on his opinions.
So there you have it. This woman went on to say she mostly avoids talk radio like the plague, but nevertheless, she heard about this case, as you pointed out, like so many others, either watching the news or on a radio, Twitter, or Facebook these days.
And that's what the judge is working through. There's been such a downpour of pretrial publicity. Almost everybody's gotten damp, and some have gotten drenched. But I think as we're getting closer to Tuesday, we can assume that the judge thinks that sometime Tuesday she's likely to have 40, in effect, the 40 finalists. So there'll be an additional round of questioning about causes for challenge. And then at some point, Tamron, we'll get to the fascinating question of the peremptory challenges. Who will be the jurors that each side chooses to strike and eliminate with the automatic strikes that each side is entitled to exercise?
Kendall, I want to get your thoughts on a heated back and forth between the defense attorney and another potential juror. Let's take a listen to what happened today.
All I'm talking about is how you feel based upon what you know so far.
I don't have a fully formed opinion. That is how I feel.
Right. No, I don't want you to think that I'm arguing with you. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do, maybe not so well, is figuring out how you feel now based upon what you've learned about the case.
I would say it's an unfortunate circumstance that we're even here today, obviously, because of the loss of life and his life being uprooted the way that it has been just from having to be here, obviously. I don't have an opinion as to whether or not he is guilty or innocent because I don't like to make those opinions based off of what I've heard and hearsay.
So why wouldn't that be a good juror? He says that I don't have an opinion so far, I've not fully formed one.
I don't think that's a juror you could disqualify for cause, because at the end of the day, you have to really rely on what they're saying. They're responding to questions under oath. But one of the huge challenges here, Tamron, is no matter what they're actually saying, it's so difficult to try to speculate about what are they really thinking. So the defense lawyer, the prosecutor, they're listening very closely. They're watching the body language. They're trying to get somebody who says, yeah, I can be fair, and see if inside that person is somebody who's probably already decided one way or the other. One of the great challenges and mysteries of the trial process.
All right, Kendall Coffey, thank you very much. We'll see what next week brings in this trial. Thank you. And still ahead,